Hello again. So Spirit really has me up in this piece, like for real. And all my private reading people are gonna like form a digital mob and attack me because of this. But I don't know, man. When I get messages, I gotta deliver them. So I'm gonna take a quick break from knocking out these private readings. But here's the deal. So, with the message that I put up last night, I feel like there's more that I need to clarify with that, but it's not necessarily a card clarification. It's more or less like, I don't know. I guess you would call it channeling. I don't know. It's just stuff that I wrote. Dagnabbit son of a gun. So let's go with it. So the first thing I wrote says, her heart cried out for him, yet she knew one day he'd discover the truth. Just as the rain falls on fertile ground, quenching deeply hidden seeds and roots to bear fruit, as a man showers love upon a woman, he entices her to reveal her deeply hidden gems, the precise ones he spent his entire life searching for. Love is not supposed to hurt. It isn't masochism. You shouldn't have to suffer continuously until love finally chooses you. If you're trying to prove to your love interest you are who he or she should love, be aware that what you're actually doing is trying to prove to yourself that you aren't unlovable and can obtain love. Remember, love is a gift, therefore it should never be earned. Rewards are earned, gifts are given. Don't ever seek or expect love as a reward for pain and suffering. So pretty much what I'm getting from that is, like, the person or peoples that I was picking up on last night, it's like the vibe that I get is like, these are people who are like separated away from each other, right? And like with all this good juju energy that they got going on right now, it's the thought of this person coming back and you guys reconciling. But the issue is, it's almost like you're hoping against hope because, I mean, there's been so much distance between you and this person to the point where, you know, it seems asinine to wait or whatever. And like I said, this isn't for everybody because, I mean, I know my intuition is like that. There are multiple times in my life that I've known things. And absolutely nothing in the physical realm reflects what it is that I know is going on. So there's been lots of times I've had to like hope against hope and look like a crazy person to everyone that I know, because I know that that's going to happen. But it's like when we talk about love relationships, it's sticky territory because there's a level of realism that we have to insert. And I really believe that in this whole evolution process, that's like the goal for all of us. Is like the goal is to kill the days of an overly dominant masculine energy, like a patriarchy, and to kill the days of an over dominant feminine energy, which is the matriarchy, and to marry the two into union so that it's an equal balance, right? That's what I feel like at the heart of all of this stuff that's going on, all of these transits and downloads, upgrades, and transformations, transfigurations, whatever. At the heart of all of that is the fact that Spirit is leading all of us to come into balance of both of those energies and not to allow either to dominate. Because, I mean, you know, we look at our history and we kind of know how that went, right? But the thing that I feel really pressed to tell the people who resonate with that reading is to use yourself as a schematic. You know what I mean? Think about how much you suffered and how long you've waited and how much time, energy, and effort you've put in and how understanding that you've been, right? Even to your own detriment, right? And to put that into reverse. So if we want to put like terms on things, all that you've sacrificed for this particular person or relationship, that would be your definition of what love is, right? So you now become the schematic. So when a person like legit really loves someone, knows without the shadow of a doubt that this is the person I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life with, this is my soulmate, twin flame, whatever you want to call it, right? If you use yourself as a schematic, and you look at everything that you've done as like benchmarks, right, for this relationship, then when you put that in reverse, you measure that person by that and see how much it is that you've done, right, that person has done, and if those match up at all. And if that be the case, the reason why walking away would not be so terrifying is because if that person truly wholeheartedly loves you as much as you love them, then they would be willing to do what you've done up to this point and then some if you decided to walk away. So they would wait, for days, weeks, months, years. You know what I'm saying? Hoping against hope, even when there's no sign, and the only connection that they may have that gives them hope may be, a reader or watching readings. You know what I'm saying? But if a part of you says that you are the one, because the vision that I see is so funny, because it makes me think of this toy that was hot back in like the 80s and 90s, Stretch Armstrong, right? So what I see is like a person, there's like a cliff, and like there's two cliffs, right? And there's like a deep valley, and this person like has their feet on this cliff and they're reaching over to the other one, like trying to act as a bridge. So it's like they're losing their grip and they're slipping, but they're holding on for dear life because they're like, I just know that this person is coming down this path. So it's like you're trying to force yourself to be the bridge. But then my question becomes, why is it that you're trying to be the bridge and putting yourself in this really difficult position that's very dangerous for yourself, like for them? You know what I mean? Because if they really want to get to your side of the cliff, wouldn't they find a way? So, this is when I put my therapist hat on and I start to analyze the behavior. It's like what that would infer to me is the reason why you're overextending yourself is because a part of you knows that unless you lay out the red carpet or you make it easy, that they're not coming. You feel what I'm saying? And I think that's what the important point is to gain in all of this, is to really look at your behavior and see what you're doing. Because truth be told, if everyone that you know has said that you were insane for everything it is that you've done for this person or waiting for this person, you know what I mean? And you're saying, well, I know it looks crazy, but I'm doing it because I love them. I care about them. I know that they're my soulmate. Okay, cool. Now we got that. Now, if that's how a person acts when they know they're connected to someone, why is it that you're so afraid to release or feel like you need to leave the door cracked? You know what I'm saying? If this person comes back. Because, and I'm just looking at this like in practical terms. It's like you sacrifice, so let's say hypothetically a person sacrificed 2 years of their life. You haven't dated anyone, you haven't had sex with anyone, you haven't done anything in the last 2 years. This person has been gone. And then at the end of this 2 years, you're like, okay, I'm gonna shut the door. And now this person comes back and the door is shut. What's the fear about that particular moment? Is it the fact that when they arrive, the door will be shut and you think they'll be like, oh, shucks, and turn around and walk away when they know that you've waited on them for 2 years? You know what I'm saying? Or is it the fear that once you close that door, you're going to move on, and when they come back, you're not going to be interested? So it's the need to keep one foot in the past, because a part of you on some level or another knows that the moment that you remove that foot out of the past, that you'd never look back there. Then I can tell you logically that's probably going to happen. Because once you start to separate yourself from the emotions and you start to look back at it objectively, then you'll start to see so many things wrong with the situation and why it's like, why was I ever thinking this was a good idea? You know what I'm saying? But I just feel that that's really imperative to note here. It's just seeing the level of self-sacrifice. And this is another place where we get convoluted, is when we talk about like being selfless, like we're talking about the eightfold path of Buddhism or something. It's like, oh, I'm being selfless. This is unconditional love. Totally get that. But here's the thing. Unconditional love, right? Or selflessness, that comes from a place of strength. So if we think about the strength card in this piece, right? That takes inner strength to truly love someone, and like to unconditionally love someone and to be selfless, which means that the self is taken care of first. There's a very thin line between what some people call selflessness and, codependency. You know what I'm saying? Because when we're codependent, we self-deprecate. A person who is capable of providing unconditional love to someone, a person who's capable of being selfless, that isn't a weakness. That person does not self-deprecate to love another person. They have boundaries in place. You know what I mean? So that's another thing that's extremely important to note. But and I don't know, man, it's just you're not gonna be rewarded for self-deprecating. You know what I'm saying? Like a person, like we teach people how to treat us, and a person is not going to give you a pat on the back for self-deprecating. And believe it or not, I have seen in more circumstances than you can imagine where there have been people who have self-deprecated and self-sacrificed for the benefit of another person, and that person was completely turned off by that. And I've actually had a dude tell me this. He was like, it's just the fact that I constantly left, and I always knew I had her in the back pocket. Like, I always knew that I could come back. He's like, every time she let me come back, he's like, I lost more and more respect for her. Because he's like, it came to the point where I started looking at her and asking myself, like, who does that? He's like, at one point in time, like, I put her up on a pedestal, and it's like, I didn't want to, like, really date her and stuff like that, because he's like, I knew she was going to require too much for me to date her, right? Like a commitment and stuff like that. So as time went on, and he would like, go deal with different people, and then like come back to check in, and she would just let him come back, no questions, know where you been, nothing like that, just excited that he was back. It's like he started to lose respect for her because he started seeing like if she really loved herself, like she wouldn't let me do that. So he's like, the fact that she lets me take advantage of her, it's like he started to become disinterested and was like, if I did want to be in a relationship, I kind of wouldn't want to be with somebody like that, So these are the things. And I think it's like there needs to be a middle ground that's found between selfless and selfish, and a middle ground exists between the two. You know what I'm saying? Because for me to care about other people does not require me to completely neglect myself. Because I understand I'm a priority. So it's like, I'm going to take care of me first. Well, thank you, Spirit. It's a core belief. So, dag nabbit son of a gun. I love this. It always goes back to childhood. And look, let me tell you about this. I just had an astrologer tell me that all my childhood theories relate back to birth charts with compatibility. So, dag nabbit son of a gun, I'm coming with some of that stuff. But anyway, it's a core belief. So, and that's what I said, dude, the whole reason why I wrote this book, and with all of the input that I've gotten from it, I am adding to the book, and I'm going to re-release it. The goal is to re-release it in November, but I really don't want to rush it. So if I don't put it out in November, it's probably not going to be until January with the extended version of different things that I'm adding. Because different people who've read it, I've gotten different things of like what they wanted me to expand on, or what things they wanted me to go more into, so on and so forth. But that's the whole premise of why it is that I wrote this book, is because there needs to be a level of understanding in situations such as these, because it's a very thin line in between these two extremes. And more often than not, I encounter people living in the two extremes. You know what I'm saying? It's either that, because the person's like, oh, well, I'm not a selfish person and I'm understanding. And it's like, dog, I feel what you're saying. I really, really do. But it's like, that's self-deprecating. That's not you being a noble human who is like so caring and stuff like that. Because a person with self-worth, self-love, and self-respect is like, ain't nobody got time for all that. Like, real talk. It's like, dude, you treat me worse than I treat my dog. Okay, you treat me worse than I treat my damn self. Okay, I live in my body. Okay, if I treat me nice, I'm gonna need you to treat me nice too. You know what I mean? And how you treat yourself is how you're going to treat other people. You know what I mean? And that's like the simplest thing. Like, the simplest way I think to understand all of this is simply like going back to that schematic. How do you treat other people? Do you treat other people like that? What kind of heart do you feel like you have? Do you feel like you're a kind-hearted person? Do you feel like you're understanding? Well, you know, that's the way someone should treat you. But it's a core belief in the sense that somewhere along the line, you were conditioned to believe that that's what love looks like. And the clinical term for that is codependency. And I noticed that that was like one of the most highlighted sentences in my book, is where I talk about being raised by an emotionally unavailable parent or a narcissistic parent, where you were conditioned to where the only time you got time, love, affection, attention was when you did something right. So you had to go these long gaping periods of not being acknowledged or constantly being fussed at before you brought home straight A's on your report card, and then you got paid attention to. And then after that, you went through these long periods of not having. So if you look at how our childhoods mold us, from a little kid, if I'm used to there being extended periods of where I feel emotionally starved, of where I feel invisible, and then I do something right, so it's like I hit that sweet spot where I do something right and bam, I get attention. It's like I'm on that high for a minute, but I really don't trip when that person ghosts me again because I know it's going to be another long period. So it's like delayed gratification. And truth be told, it's like love is not, that's not what love is. Love is not supposed to be like that. And I think at the heart of all of this, and this is literally, it's not just the people that I did that reading for. I mean, I think it's us as a collective. It's like and I can even say this with me being a therapist of the countless married couples and premarital counseling and stuff that I do. The thing I see consistently is nobody knows what love looks like. And the reason why people continuously end up in certain situations, or why the whole twin flame thing pissed me off in the first place, is because I was like, yo, like trying to teach people what healthy love looks like. One, there's a group of like people who feel like, one, that doesn't exist, and that all relationships are dysfunctional. It's just about the level of dysfunction that you're willing to deal with. Well, some level or another, that's kind of true. Everybody has issues. So it is kind of like, you know, can I deal with this dude that picks his nose or the dude that leaves his underwear on the floor in the bathroom after he takes a shower every single day? As if the hamper isn't right there type of deal, you know? So on one level or another, yeah. But it's just the fact that not knowing what love looks like, and it's easier to make excuses when you don't have a standard. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, to be quite honest, because this is going in so many different directions, because this makes me think about a lot of people who've been emailing me that are former Christians. Because you may know, may not know, like, well, legit, I was studying to be a minister. And I was very, very involved in like a Protestant Christian church, and I was raised Catholic but ended up converting, blah 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 blah, married a pastor, all that wonderful stuff. Anyway, but it's a lot of people have been asking me that, and the level of confusion that they find themselves in now, having left the church and not really knowing how to live their lives. And I say the same thing to everyone. It's like, when a lot of us left the church, we threw the baby out with the bathwater, which means now being spiritual, there's no standard for living. So you think, because that's not true. But it's just the assumption that there's no standard for living. So it's like, and it's a play on words, because it's like, I create what's right, I create what's wrong. Part of that is true. But at the same time, the way that we are physiologically created, it's like we need to have the dyad to make sense of things. So we need to have like left and right to know if I'm in the middle, or if I need to go left, or if I need to go right. Like we need those terms like schemas, you know? And that's a social psychology thing. We need schemas like, you know, race, gender, class, things of the sort, to try to make sense of all of the stimuli that's going on around us, right? But I say all of that to say, like, as like a little side note, in the sense of there's no standard for love, right? Because it's like, if you think about it, if you know, you're Christian and you look in the Bible, and I cannot remember, which is really sad, what scripture that is that Proverbs? I can't remember. Love is patient, love is kind, blah blah blah. that would be considered a schematic. So now if I want to find out if somebody loves me, does what they're showing me line up to this? And it's so a lot of times why people end up faltering is because there lacks a schematic, you know, to compare something to. And the twin flame thing upset me because I was like, dude, this is yet another hurdle, because now not only is it that we're talking about healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships, now there's this dynamic that's consistently described as a toxic, unhealthy relationship that is saying to self-deprecate, but telling you to work on yourself, but not telling you how. You know what I'm saying? It's just saying to send love and light and to, you know, just pray and hope for the best while they're going from this person to that person to this person. So it's easy to submit to that because that feels normal. You know what I'm saying? So if we're going back to our codependent person, that's normality to me. I'm used to delayed gratification. I'm used to people not honoring me or taking care of me. I don't know what the hell real love looks like. So it's easy for me to submit to this and say that, oh, well, this isn't a toxic relationship. This is just my twin flame. No. Because it's so much stuff. And it's like, if dynamics like this happen with this whole back and forth thing of this repelling, it's going to be more subconscious. It'll be subconscious projections, which is like the whole premise of what twin flames are about. It's like it's karmic work. So like my astrology friend told me, in a birth chart, when you're comparing two people, there's different planets that'll be like in opposition with each other, or what is it, like a square and stuff like that. That'll be like a karmic connection between two people, to where like a woman will be projecting her mother or father onto the guy, and that somehow makes her act like some type of way. And then the dude will be subconsciously reflecting his mother or father onto the girl, and that makes him act some type of way. So that's the reason why sometimes there's this whole song and dance in relationships, because if, like, hypothetically, if a woman is assertive, right? And say the guy's mom was assertive, and he's repelled by the fact that a woman is assertive, and he feels like women should be like more docile. You know what I mean? That's what's going to cause him to feel like I need to destroy her on some stuff. Like I need to break her down to get her to understand that she needs to be, you know, more docile, right? But he's not consciously aware that he's doing this. It's just he knows, like, I can't spoil her. I need to break her down on some stuff, right? And, like, for a woman, it could be that this guy reminds her subconsciously of her mom. And the fact that he's trying to cling, she feels she needs to repel to make herself independent. So, like, when we talk about runner and chaser, and I'm so thankful for this, because I was like, that makes it make sense. Astrologically speaking, it's an opposition in the chart. So the thing is, like, this fixation, this song and dance happen between these people, because what spirit is trying to do is to get them to look back to childhood, to face that issue so that they can evolve and the person can evolve. And if it's intended to be that way, then when both of them overcome like this block, this subconscious block, like bringing the subconscious conscious, and they deal with it and heal it, integrate it and all that good stuff, then those two people could be together. But it's the whole thing that it's so much groundwork that has to be done before you get to that point. So it's like, I'm saying all of that to say, to offer a sense of peace to your confusion. You know what I mean? Because life is not supposed to be like that. Life is not supposed to be painful like that. And you know what, dagnabbit? 23 minutes. My private reading people, I am so sorry. Okay? I gotta do what Spirit tells me to do. I got all y'all emails here, I promise. As soon as I turn this off, I'm getting back to it. Okay? But I had to get this out of my system, because I learned with Capricorn, when I don't listen, it's like my whole day gets thrown off. So since this hit me, I'm letting it come out. I'm going to read to you guys. Where is my Kindle? I'm going to read you guys the channeled message. I can't talk. Message? Really? I'm going to read you guys the channeled message, which is the last page of my book. Because my book was finished and everything. But when I was trying to think of like a good, you know, outro conclusion type of deal, it's like I was sitting right here and Spirit just started channeling this message to me. And it started with, what was the line that it started with? Like a loophole or something like that. Oh, you're trying to cheat the system. That's what it first starts, like, you're trying to cheat the system. You're trying to cheat the system. And I was like, what? So I sat down and wrote this out. It's called the Hermit Effect, right? And this is literally the last page of my book, and I have a whole disclaimer. I'm like, look, I left it as is, whatever. But I feel like I need to read this to you because there's no better way for me to sum up this video than this, okay? So the Hermit Effect. Now, mind you, this is channeled from Spirit. Channel messages be sounding if you're not familiar with them. So that's just the heads up. So anyway, the Hermit Effect. You all desire these divine partnerships, soulmates, twin flames, and companions because you were trying to cheat the system. You are all unhappy because you have forgotten who you really are. And instead of doing the work required to cultivate your own happiness, you attempt to cheat the system by thinking a partner, money, success, or things can get you that happiness without the work. You foolishly believe they will bring you happiness without having to do the work for creating it for yourself. We may obtain what we so desperately desire, but will soon return to our former state. The spiritual laws also explain the most earth-shattering truth to be realized. You are your own twin flame. The secret to finding the one, or revealing, manifesting, or drawing your perfect mirror to you is starting with you. You must first begin to be who you are looking for. How much do you know about yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your desires? Who are you really? What do you really want and why? These are all questions we must know the answer to before you are consumed with the desire to manifest a partner into your life. It isn't someone else's responsibility to heal you, to fix you, or to identify you. These are all your personal responsibilities to your own soul. Contrary to popular belief, or legend for that matter, we aren't half of a soul searching for the other. Spirit created each of our Atman, which is Hebrew word for soul, fully sustainable and perfect. Remember, you are the entire ocean and a drop. The little g to the big G. Everything that Spirit is, you are. Spirit, the all, needed no other to create this expansive universe we exist within. So the same with you. Companionship is what we call in New Orleans lagniappe, a little something extra, but hardly a necessity. You live as yourself every day and experience this life from a perspective that is unique to you. Only you see the world as you do. The person closest to you, your mother, in theory, because she created you in her womb. She doesn't even know what it's like to experience the world through you. This is something to cherish. The greatest trick this world plays on us is the belief that it possesses something we need that we don't already possess. If you never believe a word I tell you today, know that that is the greatest lie told to mankind. You are not enough, and the acquisition of things will heal the void, the ever-growing hole in your soul. Everything in this physical world is dying or is already dead. How can you look to death to gain life? What you give your energy to replicates itself. Therefore, if most of your focus and decision-making is based on what is occurring outside of you, death will only beget more death. The answer to every question you ever asked lies not outside of you, but inside of you. No, you possess the keys to your own deliverance. You possess all the answers. You are the guru, and the truth, the fulfillment, the twin flame that you seek. Haven't you already searched everywhere else? So I'm going to leave it at that, peeps. I'm going to go ahead and get up off this before, the digital mob comes after me. Because I got readings to put out. But I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments. I love your freaking faces. But I didn't mean to fuss. I hope I didn't fuss. But Let me know what you think in the comments, and if this has helped to clarify some things for you, or if you'd like me to go in more detail about anything. I love your face. Deuces.